سلام به همه دوستان، امیدوارم که روز خوبی رو داشته باشین و لذت ببرین از تایمی که دارین. any خودشم انگلیسی حرف میزنم، ببخشید دوستان، ولی امروز یک جلسه دیگه داریم با میگل کالوین from Bolivia که he's a shaman for Sacha Runa, and today's live will be in English, but I promise you guys that all of the lives will be either translated and subtitled from Persian to English or from English to Persian, so everybody can have a good understanding of that. If you have a question about this, let me know later on. Miguel is coming up in a second, and we're going to have him online. Hello, Miguel.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Nice to see everyone.
I think you're not in the frame. Yeah. You just need to clean up.
A beautiful mountain behind us.
Yeah, I can see. Is it And?
Is it what?
What is the name of the peak?
Illimani is the mountain.
Illimani, beautiful. Wow.
Illimani, yes, it's the sacred mountain at our retreat center.
Perfect. Can you just clean up the lens of your camera?
Yeah, yes, I can see that it's a little bit,
yeah. Okay. So today,
Miguel,
yeah, it's much better. So
yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're good. You can lead the session. You wanted to talk about the radical monasticism beyond duality today?
That's correct. Hold on, I'm adjusting the camera angle.
That's perfect. No problem.
Okay, yeah, great. Yes, I thought it was important to talk about this because in most Abrahamic religions, we have, and actually in most religions, there is sometimes a misconception that we are in a state fallen from grace, and that somehow we have to
He got disrupted for a second, but he will be better. I'm gonna drop his call and get him back again. Miguel, you have some connection problem. You have some connection problem. I think it's because of your internet. Yeah.
I think I'm going to move because sometimes the internet is not that great over here. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it's much better. Perfect.
Okay, good. Yes, so when we place the goal at a distance and believe that it can only be reached through effort and gradually in time, we are actually perpetuating the distance and the separation of that which we are aiming to reach. So, for example, in Tibetan Buddhism, the highest path beyond duality is also beyond gradualism, meaning that, I don't know if you know the symbol of the Vajra.
Here, the Vajra, the duality.
The Vajra, the Vajra is like this, right? It's the 5 elements on top, meaning nirvana, and the 5 elements at the bottom, meaning samsara, the world of illusion. Now, in Dzogchen, what they teach us is that in the center, there is a little ball right here.
Okay.
And that is actually the state where we want to be. Meaning that there is a state that is always within us, corresponding to the goal of enlightenment, the mind of enlightenment. And that state, if you can discover it, all you need to do is relax into it and everything will spontaneously self-liberate.
Wow.
For example, we have the misconception that we have to renunciate all the things that we consider negative within us. For example, hatred, envy, pride, lust, greed, etc., etc. And of course, we must not take action that are based upon those emotions that somehow make us cause negative karma. But if we deny those emotions within us, all we're doing is postponing the healing. So in the ceremonies that we do, like we did last night here in Alkamari, it is very important that we somehow allow ourselves to fully express those emotions. So what I say is that everything is of God. Everything is perfect. Everything is part of the divine nature, except that,
and also in harmony. Everything is in harmony.
well, no, not yet. Everything, well, yes, if you can experience it from that ball in the center. But since most of us are entangled in our karmic patterns, in our habitual consciousness, we're usually still impelled by our negativity. But in the ceremonies, for example, when we take the medicine and the walls of the subconscious break and those things begin to come up from deep within our subconscious, from deep within the neural memory of our body, where they are stored, all the deep traumas, all the deep karmas from these and other lives, if you believe in other lives, then it's important that we allow them to fully manifest. Because when we repress them, when we deny them, that's when they become stuck within us, and that's when they actually cause us harm. So in Tibetan Buddhism, they say all these poisons can actually become wisdoms. Of course, they are within us, each of our chakras. And each of our chakras, when liberated of that negativity, become perfectly divine parts of the whole that allow us to connect to the whole in different ways for each of the chakras. So again, I think what I'm trying to say here is that rather than become immersed in guilt and trying to uh, believe that either in the afterlife or in this life we must deny certain aspects of ourselves, so what we need to do is center ourselves in that little ball, find ourselves in the still point within that is pure and perfect, and then relax into it and allow all these things to come up and just observe and allow, observe and allow. And what happens there in the shamanic ceremonies is that no matter how terrifying they are, no matter how difficult they are, no matter how painful they are, if you allow them and just observe without rejecting, without escaping, without fighting, they transform themselves and
To
liberate
light.
themselves. And then that energy becomes purified. And
Yeah.
then you become a more wholesome human being.
Yeah. That's remind me of a quote of Rumi. Rumi says, the wound is a place that light enters. So if you don't have that wound and it's not an open wound, you can't get the light in, you know? Kind of like an industrial version of it in American culture. It says, no pain, no gain. Yeah.
Well, yes. And part of it is allowing ourselves to nakedly experience that pain without running away from it, without escaping it, without repressing it. Because yes, the pain itself contains the medicine that it needs. Each
Exactly.
poison contains its own medicine, but we must allow it to express itself. That's what I say. Everything is of God, everything is perfect, but everything has to express its truth. When we don't allow everything to express its truth, then it becomes perverted. And that is when we become nasty human beings that project hatred and envy and pride onto others.
Yeah.
But in that center, you realize the one. We spoke last time about the one source and the many forces. So when
Exactly.
when you are in that center, and of course to be in that center, you also have to surrender to that center. So the ego does not allow us to be in that center, and so the ego is what we have to surrender to allow the truth from within to really flourish. And so all the things that we believe we are, all the things that we believe we must do, all the things that we think about ourselves, we must actually throw out the window and be quiet
Great.
and still and move from the head into the heart. And in the heart,
Exactly.
you find that little ball in the center. And
Exactly.
just sit there and experience what begins to move from there, and let that actually put you in order. Let that heal you.
Mm.
So it is instantaneous in many ways. It is something that the divine is not far away, and the enlightened mind is not far away either. So it's actually always within us. It's here and now. And when we get out of the mind frame of duality, of having to reject something, of having to fight something, of having to repress something, and judging,
Yeah.
judging. Many people think that we should judge, but really, I think judging is sort of a divine attribute.
Yeah.
And if we suspend judgment and just allow what is to truly become what is, then we will be what we were always hoping to be here and now.
Yeah. So one question, mostly, as you mentioned, the Abrahamic religions are based on duality. And duality is a source of kind of like, let's say, judgmental concept of view. Because for duality, you need to label each side, good or bad, dark, light,
Right.
up, down, left, right,
Right.
God, devil. So
Right.
can we say instead of duality, if we believe in infinity, how does that sound to you based on whatever we talked about?
Well, my friend, I think in each of these traditions, in the Abrahamic traditions, actually in the more esoteric ones, uh, when you get to that deep understanding, they also say that God is one, and God and his creation are one. So really, when you think about the devil, when you think about evil, uh, they also work for the same boss. And that's why I call it radical monotheism, because there's only one source. So creation, really all this infrastructure of the negative side, is actually there to help you turn around and go home.
Hmm.
So even though
You got disrupted for a second. You got disrupted. I think you better move your phone to the last place that you have a better signal, if you can hear me. Sorry about the disruption, but people were watching. I think it's Impana, Ethan, Mariana, Matthew, and Preet. Thank you for being here today. Hoping that Miguel can come back. Let me just remove him from the, okay. So it's a beautiful concept about how do you think about the duality in your life, and believing in duality is a way of understanding the world, but considering all the resources that you will find, the main source, when you talk about all the resources, it's not like just black and white in two ways. You can find your freedom in many different ways, which is basically kind of like the way of life. And when you think about instead of having a duality in life, when you think about an infinite, then you remove the judgment from that part. Basically, oh, he's back. Basically, let me see. Yeah, I sent a request to him. So basically, you don't have any judgment. You don't label or categorize anything. Go on, Miguel. We have you back.
yes, I'm sorry, the connection here is very intermittent. But
Yeah,
yes,
I know.
I was saying that in the Abrahamic religions also there is this belief that God is one, and that really one of the deep Kabbalist teachings, for example, is that of course we pursue the light, but we must train ourselves to see the light in the darkness. So,
Hmm.
for example, one of the attitudes when faced with misfortune, with illness, with tragedy, is of course you can be upset about it. You can curse God for the misfortune in your life. In Spanish, the word is renegar. Renegar
Renegar,
means to renegate, to,
renegate.
neg-
Okay.
to negate twice, right? But if everything is God's will, and of course that's a crucial point in one's life, when you realize that everything that happens to you is divine will, and then you can really learn the lessons that are put in front of you, and you can make the most out of it. And ideally, if you can give thanks for all the challenges in your life, of which I have experienced many, um, and take it with a positive attitude and be grateful about them, then you can let that energy of the challenge actually work you through, like working a dough when you're making a cake. You let that energy
Yeah.
actually again nakedly affect you and move right through you and do what God sent it to do. And in many ways sometimes it can destroy you, but of course it's the
Yeah.
ego that's getting destroyed, and the ego needs to get destroyed. And sometimes God sends us a curveball, like in
Yeah.
baseball. so so yes, I think in these traditions also, and really true reverence for the one source and true faith in the one source, I think goes by means of these. And I see that too many people are too busy judging, and mostly others, right? It's the ego saying, "Oh, that's evil. He's evil," and trying to get a sense of superiority about oneself, about one's culture, about one's religion. And that's why I think when we get to that center, to that place of oneness, where we feel the oneness of the Creator, we also feel one with everyone. And then we realize that we cannot judge others, but we should have
Exactly.
this heart of compassion, and that all of humanity is part of this creation, and God and his creation are one, and we should have that veneration for all of life and all its creatures, and
Yeah.
then
That's it.
humanity will
Yeah.
move forward.
Exactly. It reminds me of two things. First of all, there's a poet from, I don't remember the poet, but it says you should wash your eyes and see the world in a different concept. That's one of the,
Yes,
yes. And the other one
yes,
is that the beauty is in your eyes, not in the thing that you are looking at. So you should have the beauty in your eyes. When you have this filter of beauty over your eyes, you basically will see everything in their, let's say, real manner or real meaning of them. You're fine. You're here. I think you're getting you back, Miguel. Your internet
hello.
was a little bit slushy
Yes,
today.
again the connection. But yes, what you were saying, I believe, is actually probably the last thing I want to say, and that is that I believe in the spiritual path. We must train ourselves to see the good, to feel the good,
Exactly.
to speak
Hmm.
the good, and to do the good.
Yeah.
Because that negative mind, the judging mind that sees evil everywhere, is actually the ego keeping us separate and tied to suffering. So if we can
Exactly.
train ourselves in that heart of compassion, we'll be helping ourselves, we'll be helping our brothers and sisters, and we'll make this a better world together.
100%. 100%. I'm down for it. Thank you, Miguel, for being with us today again and showing us the beautiful nature in your place. And we love the mountain. We love the sacred mountain behind you. I'm hoping that people are getting the positive energy from you every time that we have this live session. And as always, I just want to remind you guys that Miguel is actually leading a retreatment center in Bolivia, that you can simply reach out to his channel, either the Sacharuna, the main page, or his personal account, and talk about how you can cleanse your body, how you can cleanse your mind. Thank you again, Miguel. Any word for us? Last word?
I just want to express my gratitude to you, brother, and to all the people that are listening to us, because
Thank you
these
so
are
much.
special times, and together we can make a difference.
100%. 100%. Have a nice day. Namaste. Thank you so much. So I just want to talk about one short thing about what we learned today, and it's basically it's all about you. You know, all the world is about you. And Miguel mentioned in a part of his speech that when you do good for people, you feel good. Because if you have this concept that I am you and you are me, you never will be mean to anybody. You don't want any bad thing happen to anyone around you because it's basically you. So when you have this concept of being united with the world, with the nature, and also be the divine, you basically will do good. He mentioned to think good, to speak good, and to do good. That's the main three rules in Zoroastrian religions, which is basically enough. If you do good, if you think good, and if you speak good, the world be a better place for every one of us. So I think that simple three rules will be a conclusion for today's session. So from now on, try to speak good, think good, and do good, and you will be fine. Have a nice day.